There is a silence beneath the noise of the world, a silence that waits, watches, and remembers. Most never hear it. They are busy chasing shadows that call themselves light. From birth, we are lowered into a theater of imitation. The walls glow with moving shapes, names, brands, ideals, and we applaud them as though they were truth itself. Yet somewhere, deep inside, something trembles. A whisper that says, "This cannot be all there is." But the whisper is dangerous, because to follow it means losing everything that feels safe. To look away from the wall is to go blind before you see. And so most turn back to the flickering light, to warmth, to belonging, to the familiar echo of other chained hearts. The story you're about to hear is not new. It was first told more than 2,000 years ago by a man who understood that humanity's true battle is not fought on earth, but in the mind. His name was Plato, and he spoke of a cave, a place not beneath the ground, but inside the soul. Imagine a world where people mistake reflections for reality, where the images projected before their eyes define what they believe is real. In this world, truth is a rumor. Freedom is a myth told by those who have nothing to lose. And the cave is not a place, it is a condition of being. Plato's allegory was never about a literal cavern. It was a mirror for consciousness itself. The shadows are our ideas, our cultures, our identities, everything we cling to in fear of facing the unknown. To escape the cave is not to climb upward, it is to descend inward. It is to face the terror of not knowing who we are without the masks that comfort us. Yet here lies the tragedy. Most people would rather die in the warmth of illusion than live in the cold air of truth, because truth burns. It strips. It dismantles the stories we have built to survive. So the question is not whether the cave exists. The question is, why do we remain? What keeps us chained when the door has always been open? It begins with the first lie we are told, that the world outside can make us whole. As children, we inherit our parents' shadows. We learn to mimic, to please, to belong. Each expectation becomes a link in the chain. We are taught what to see, but not how to see. Our eyes grow strong, but our inner sight remains blind. We memorize the movements of the puppets on the wall, success, beauty, fame, righteousness, and call that understanding. But somewhere in the darkness, a fracture forms. When the applause fades, when the show ends, a strange emptiness hums beneath the skin. You can feel it in moments of stillness. The faint nausea of realizing that everything you are has been rehearsed by someone else. Plato warned that the prisoners would laugh if one of them tried to break free. He knew that truth threatens community, because every lie depends on agreement, and so the one who sees becomes the enemy of those who don't. That is why most people never escape, not because the door is locked, but because the truth is lonely. Freedom is cold at first. It demands solitude and silence and self-confrontation. The mind, like the cave, grows comfortable in darkness. It learns to mistake limitation for safety. We become addicted to our chains, the predictable rhythm of the flickering wall, the reassurance that everyone else is watching too. Long before the cave was spoken of, humanity already sensed that sight was not vision. The ancients hid their wisdom in symbols, not to deceive, but to protect. Because truth, when exposed too soon, can blind the unprepared. Plato gave us the map, but it was the mystics, the poets, the depth psychologists who walked its terrain. They knew that the cave is not outside of you. It is the architecture of your mind, a cathedral of shadows built from fear and memory. To escape it, one must learn an older language, the language of the soul. Jung called it the journey of individuation, the descent into the underworld of the psyche, where the forgotten parts of the self wait in exile. He said that everything we refuse to face returns as fate. The darkness we deny becomes the hand that guides our life. So to walk toward the light is to pass through the very things we tried to escape. In the cave, the prisoners fear the fire, but the fire is consciousness itself, that painful awareness that begins to show how false the shadows really are. Most extinguish it before it grows. A few endure its burn long enough to see the chains. Freedom does not begin with movement, it begins with recognition. The first act of liberation is the moment you realize you are not the puppet, nor the wall. You are the one watching, the witness behind the illusion. And yet, awakening is not escape. The door to the cave is guarded by everything unresolved. Your guilt, your shame, your unlived desires, they will whisper, turn back. Because beyond that threshold, there are no scripts, only the raw silence of being. The ancients called this silence aletheia, unconcealment. To live in truth is to live without hiding. It means losing every comforting lie that once made the world feel safe. That is why the initiate trembles at the gate, for the light will cost them their name. But what is a name compared to the soul? What is comfort compared to clarity? The moment you dare to see, the world begins to rearrange itself. Every friendship built on illusion cracks. Every ambition driven by fear dissolves. You stand naked before the real. And though it terrifies you, something within whispers, yes, this is it. This is the beginning of vision. The moment when the shadows lose their power and the mind begins to remember what it is. When the prisoner steps into the light, he does not rejoice, he weeps. For the brilliance reveals not salvation, but responsibility. The sun does not flatter, it exposes. And in its blaze, the seeker sees that the cave was never just a lie imposed upon him. It was a reflection of his own fear to know himself. The mirror of awakening is merciless. It shows how we built our own walls. Each compromise, each silence, each moment we chose comfort over courage. The darkness we blamed on the world was the shadow we refused to own. In the mirror, we meet the forgotten self, the child who stopped dreaming, the lover who betrayed truth for acceptance, the creator who buried his fire beneath 1,000 excuses. To escape the cave is not to flee from darkness, it is to carry it consciously. For wholeness is not the absence of shadow, but the marriage of light and dark. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The cave is that process. It is the womb and the tomb of the soul, and most turn back here, because it is easier to hate the darkness than to understand it. But those who stay, those who endure, discover a secret. The cave was never the enemy, it was the teacher. Every chain was a lesson in disguise, every shadow, a map to the hidden heart. Slowly, the eyes adjust. The pain becomes clarity, the silence becomes peace. And in that stillness, you finally hear it. The faint hum of reality itself, alive, infinite, waiting. Imagine the prisoner now standing at the mouth of the cave behind him, the darkness that once defined his life. Before him, the blinding radiance of truth. He does not rush forward, he kneels. Because to see reality is to be humbled by it. He realizes that the cave was never something to escape, but to understand. That the shadows were not lies, but metaphors guiding him toward light. We spend our lives running from suffering, but suffering was the invitation all along, the sound of our chains calling us home. When he finally steps outside, the light is not separate from the dark, it shines through it. Like a flame seen through water, truth dances between opposites, revealing that both were needed. He turns back once more. He sees the others still chained, laughing at their illusions, and his heart breaks. Because he knows he cannot free them by force. Each must awaken when they are ready. So he becomes a messenger, not of doctrine, but of remembrance. He carries the fire in his hands back into the cave, not to condemn, but to illuminate. That is what Plato meant. That is what every awakened soul has ever done. They return to the darkness, not as prisoners, but as light-bearers. Most people will never escape the cave. But some, those who feel the ache in their chest, the quiet question that will not die, they are already halfway free. You are not alone in your seeing. There are others walking the same invisible road, souls who have grown tired of reflections and now seek the source. To them, and to you, this is the call. Do not trade awakening for approval. Do not dim your sight to fit the shadows again. Walk on. Even if you walk alone at first, for every step toward truth is a spark that lights another. In time the cave will crumble, not through revolution, but through remembrance, when enough eyes remember the sun. Until then, carry the fire gently. Let it guide you, not scorch you. Let it reveal, not destroy. Because the light is not outside of you. It is the part of you that never forgot, and when you remember that, you are already free. Look around our modern cave, glowing screens instead of firelight, algorithmic walls instead of stone. The shadows move faster now, but the spell is the same. Keep their eyes busy, keep their souls asleep. The hidden problem is not ignorance, it is attachment. We do not cling to lies because we believe them, but because without them, we would not know who to be. And so we build identities from echoes, hopes from advertisements, dreams from borrowed voices. We call it progress. But beneath the glittering wall, a silent question grows. What if everything we chase is only a shadow of something real?